You know, sometimes when like dudes are sitting in cafes on their own reading a book, is that like a technique to attract women? Once upon a time, I was, let's see, 20 years old, and I was at art school. Yes, that's right, art school in London. Sounds impressive. And I was doing a project that involved collage, and I needed old books. And our plan was to rip out the pages and make a collage. Can't remember what the project was for, but I needed old books. Anyway, I picked up an old book by a Russian novelist whose name is Fyodor Dostoevsky. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky. 1800s, no less. It was just an old paperback. And I picked it up from a thrift store, and I had it in my back pocket. I had my back pocket because I'd gone to the pub after college, which is perfectly normal. It's what we do in England. You go to the pub, then you do something, then you go to the pub, and then you do something else, and you go to the pub, and then you go home. Then you wake up, you do something, go to the pub, you get the picture. Anyway, I was at the pub, and I was at the bar in the pub, and this smoking hot girl comes up next to me at the bar, and she says, "Oh, Dostoevsky." I said, "No, look." I said, "Luke." She said, "No, the book you've got in your back pocket there, Dostoevsky, Dostoevsky. Fuck!" I said, "Oh, yeah." She said, "You like his works? Yeah, you like his writings, his novels?" For a second, I was about to say, well, for a second I was about to tell the truth. And I was about to say, "No, not at all. What are you, stupid? It's for an art project, you lunatic." Instead, I said, because I saw her, very, very, very attractive, very attractive. I said, yeah. Love him. Wasn't even too sure it was a him or a her at this stage. The author, not the girl I was talking to. She was definitely female. I said, yeah. She goes, "Oh." She goes, "Great. Yeah, I love reading." I said, "Same." I said, "Same." I said, "Same." I said, "Same." And we got talking. You know, that was like a good intro. We ended up drinking heavily. That's what you do in England. And then we spent the night together. Yeah, we spent the night together, and it was wonderful. It was great. It was great. In the morning, she said, "So what other authors? Which other authors and like playwrights?" I told her I love authors and playwrights. Yeah, I told her I love authors and playwrights. In my drunkenness, trying to seduce her. And she said, "So which other authors and playwrights do you love then?" And I said, well, I paused and I said, "Well," and then she said, "I'm just fucking with you." She said, "I've never heard of the guy who wrote the book. It was just, I saw his name in the back pocket of your jeans. I thought it was a good pickup line. I do apologise." And I said, "Oh." I said, "Thank God for that." I said, "Thank God for that, because nor do I. It's for an art project. Bought his book for an art project. I'm planning on ripping it to pieces." She said, "Oh, so you don't read Dostoevsky at all?" I said, "No." She said, "So you're a liar." And I said, "So are you." And she said, "Guilty." So yeah, we had one more round, if you know what I'm saying, and never saw her again. Okay, the power of the book.